TIFU by giving myself a huge hickey on my forehead. With a coconut. This literally just happened. My girlfriend and I decided to spice up our zucchini life by ordering some zucchini toys online. The main piece being a veiny 7 inches silicone zucchini. So the package gets delivered while I'm at home and the GF's at work. I unbox said coconut to check it out. The thing's astonishingly lifelike with a big zucchini suction cup, so I stick it on the coffee table. Yup, works as advertised. This is when the idiot man light bulb goes off over my head. I stick it smack dab in the middle of my forehead and sit there, laughing maniacally like the idiot, cheesecake-headed unicorn I am before I snap a picture to send to the girlfriend. I realized my idiocy had reached record levels and went to yank it off. The sucker was really on there, so I yank pretty hard before realizing what I was doing. I stop and peel at the edges and it comes off, but my fears had come true. I look in the camera again and I've got a huge purple hickey about 3 inches in diameter right in the middle of my forehead. It also hurts a little bit. TL doctor, I accidentally gave myself a hickey on my forehead with a coconut toy. What a zucchini. Classic TIFU post, well done. My husband did this once and told all his co-workers that it was a bruise from a toolbox falling on his head from the top shelf in a closet. He did end up telling them what it actually was from, though BC it was too butternut funny. After that first line I was expecting a butternut to be used for something drastically different. I thought you were gonna end up with a neck injury or being suffocated, ha. A dickie? TIFU by asking my neighbor who died. So this happened like 2 hours ago, but it needs some preface. About 3 weeks ago my neighbor saw me dressed in all black leaving for work and he asked me, who died? I laughed. He laughed. We all had a good time. Today, I'm heading to my car, and I see him and his wife dressed in all black, so I obviously asked, who died? His wife breaks down and starts hardcore crying. Turns out her mom had just died. She then proceeds to lecture me about making fun of death as she's still crying at a 6/10. Her husband never said anything about the fact that he made the same joke 3 weeks ago, which is fine. I wouldn't have either. So now I'm gonna avoid her forever. I know it's not the craziest TIFU, but now I'll respect death forever. TL doctor, I asked my neighbor who died, and it turns out someone had actually died. Got a nice lecture on death. I used to teach at home. I got used to students leaving messages to cancel their lessons. I finally changed my answering machine to say, the only good excuse for canceling your lesson is death, and I mean your own. Many students chuckled at this. I was known for somewhat sadistic humor. Shortly after, I got a message from a student canceling his lesson because his mother just died. I felt quite bad about the message he had to listen to. I changed my machine that day. My friend texted me yesterday and it went like this: friend, dude. Me, what bitch, as I usually do affectionately. Friend, my parents just got in a car wreck and they might not survive. On him an idiot. Didn't expect this to get so much attention. Update, her parents are alive, awake, and will probably survive. Yeah, I had a similar thing happen in school. Woke up to a text from a friend asking, have you seen F this morning? And I answered like, oh yeah. F will often walk 30 minutes out of town just to come to my house for some breakfast before school, and he said, I'm serious, he's missing. They found his body before lunch. Hope your friend and their family are doing okay and their parents make a recovery. I don't see any problems on you paying them a visit in some days and explaining your intention was confusing to her, so she deserves to feel you respect her pain. Bring some flowers and a sympathy card now. Follow up with something a few days later. Good one. I'll tell you a little story that might make you feel a little better. My friend's husband was supposed to be eating healthier, pre-diabetic, high blood pressure, all that going on, so she's trying to help him follow doctor's orders, etc, etc. All he keeps telling her is that she's trying to kill him, all the while complaining about having to eat healthier. So her and I start to have this inside joke about, have you tried to kill your husband lately? Hardy ha ha. That was all fun and games until he died for real, very unexpectedly. Needless to say, we've never mentioned that joke since then. I kind of hope she actually doesn't remember it. I'll never bring it up though. Well, I moved in recently to look after my parents and someone asked me how long for, and I said to her as long as necessary, and she said, well, you're the one feeding them, haha. And 2 days after I moved in, my dad went to hospital and never came out. But it was just old age and pneumonia, which he had had for a week or so by that point, not my cooking. A similar banana up was me asking my school friend how her sister was. She replied, but not in our usual jokey way, still dead. That's a pretty badass reply, NGL. Hope she is doing well. TIFU by opening an incognito tab in a boardroom full of managers. NSFW. A few nights ago before bed, I opened an incognito tab and used a website that should be closed immediately after. I guess I was tired, so I accidentally minimized the tab instead and went to bed. A few days went on and I hadn't used my laptop. My clinical job doesn't usually require it, but yesterday I had a council meeting and had to present some work I'd been writing for the unit. I walk into a small conference room with all my managers and their bosses, ready to present. My direct manager is to my left and to my right is a guest manager from another unit. As I get ready to share my work and open my laptop, open to Word, everything looks fine. I present and everyone loves the ideas, etc. And my boss asks me to write her an email summary of what I presented. I then go to click on my Google app and out pops a black and orange screen with obscene scenes being portrayed. Cue blushing and panic. I close it as quickly as I can and look over to my left with my direct manager, who seems to be focused on something else. So okay, we're fine I think, but then I look over to my right and the guest manager is trying to look anywhere but at me, completely red. I play it off as nothing happened and finish the meeting as best as I can, but you can feel the awkward energy radiating from her. Hopefully I never have to apply for a transfer to her unit or see her again. TL Doctor was giving a presentation in a boardroom full of managers and opened an inappropriate website in between two of them. My immediate manager didn't see, but the guest to my right turned red and avoided eye contact at all costs for the rest of the meeting. Guys, stop watching banana on your work equipment. Your IT people can see the cheesecake, yes, even if you use incognito, and sometimes you end up in a situation like this. Use your own personal electronics or find something else to get off to. Your work equipment is owned by your work, not you. Side note, if this wasn't a work laptop and you were presenting with your own personal computer for whatever reason, I would suggest setting up separate user accounts for work/personal. It'll help you avoid things like this. What was it? Sounds like a Halloween decoration website. It is spooky season, so I was just getting ready for it. Since no one's asking, what type of zucchini was it? I can assume the site. Desk manager bangs nerdy new employee. Tragic coincidence. Network engineer here and I get emails all the time to audit the browsing history of an employee. Just don't do it if you don't want your IT staff to know what you browse at home. Hypothetically, how would one go about erasing content such as what you browse at home? Asking for a friend. A dude brought in a jump drive to a conference and he asked me to help him get it set up so he could present his PowerPoint. The screen was being displayed to the room. We plugged in the jump drive and the Explorer view was set to show thumbnail previews. Vaginas. So many close-ups of vaginas with women's names as the file names. No faces. Just vaginas. So at least a cheesecake website is normal. A jump drive full of vaginas is creepy as butternut. Oh, this makes feel much better, lol. TIFU by catching my cousin eating out his girlfriend by mistake. NSFW. This did not actually happen today. A couple days ago I went on a road trip to meet most of my family, since pretty much all of them live about 5 hours away, all in the same city. My first destination was to surprise my cousin, since I never told him I was on my way. This is where the FU happened. I sent him a message asking him if he was available to play video games in about 30 minutes. He responded saying he had school work to do and needed to clean up his messy room. My plan was to make an epic entrance as soon as he was ready to call me on Discord. I thought, this'll have to work, even though I was hoping he would be ready. I arrived at his house. No one else was home. The door was unlocked, so I snuck in quiet as a mouse. I almost burst out laughing because I was an idiot. I crept up to his door and checked for any sign he was in there. I heard what I thought was a yawn. I then without hesitation hammered on the door with my fist and flung it open. My utter surprise, there he was, struggling to get the sheets over him and his girlfriend. I knew he was performing the big lick from the pose the girl was in when I yeeted the door open in a frenzied manner. I stammered oh, and left the room and closed the door. I walked to the living room and sat there in complete silence, until the performer revealed himself. We exchanged apologies and had a hell of an awkward time. The girl then joined and we just sat there for what felt like half an hour but was most likely 15 minutes or so in absolute silence. We're now on good terms and we laughed about it afterwards. Doctor, I busted through a door with the intention of surprising my cousin, but ended up catching him coconut diving into his girl. Edit, title can be misleading. I meant that I accidentally caught him, not that he accidentally ate her out. Edit 2, Holy HECC, my first award ever. Thank you, kind stranger. Yet another edit, some grammar correction since this post got kinda big. The title almost reads as I caught my cousin performing butternut on his girlfriend, but he really wasn't meaning to do so. Which, in my opinion, is more thought-provoking. Tunnel buddies. The meta begins. Until the perpetrator revealed himself. You were the perpetrator. Happened to me, except cousin was having cheesecake, walked in, he said what's up and that beer was in fridge. Grabbed my beer, and went outside to start the pit. I think the most important question in that case is what age was he? What age were you and what age were the cousins? Because if that were to happen to me when I was 16 to 19 it would have been awkward as hell, but now I would tell him that the grill would take around 40 minutes and leave him to it. I knew he was performing the big lick from the pose the girl was in when I yeeted the door open in a frenzied manner. This is my new favorite sentence.